Hold on, y'all. Oh, I don't even gotta go nowhere. Yeah, that's even better. Hey, y'all. How y'all been? Good evening. I was not gonna get on here, but then I read something and I was like, I want to see what y'all think about it. My coffee is in there being brewed as we speak. I still ain't cleaned up this room and haven't. I love y'all. I'm about to tell these people we own over there at the door knocking place that we own. We're gonna see if they allow them to know. I ain't gonna be on here too long, but I love y'all. I hope y'all day was good. Alright, let's see. Oh, that's better. Hey. Hello everybody. Can y'all hear me? Okay, good job. Hola, hola. Let's see. I am turning into a real old lady. It's real, real crazy. Oh, that probably wasn't good. Hold on one second, y'all. Good evening, everybody. I'll do that. I don't even know if this. Hold on one second. You said what? Hey family, good news. I was just transitioned to coaching and I've been offered an opportunity to coach for a middle school football team here in Nashville. Come on! Congratulations, nephew. Oh, shoot. You see what being faithful to God do for you? Y'all hear that? Congratulations. God is still in the blessing business. He is. That's awesome. Oh, shoot. Come on, Dad. Come on, Dad. Woo! See? That's a blessing. See what happens when you faithful, nephew? You see? It's always hard. It's right before the blessing. I just had to tell somebody else this. And I'm not saying that anything is hard for you now or nothing. I'm just saying, God, He sent you through some tests and trials to make sure what He getting ready to give you, you ready for it. And I promise you, it be so nice. And it always come at a time when it's like, yeah, okay, breaking points. It be real. I think Auntie at a breaking point herself right now, like, all right, Dad, what you about to do? I'm excited. I'm cheesing real big right now. Listen, stay faithful to God, baby. This the thing. Living for Christ can be challenging, right? But it's not impossible. And it takes change to do it. But God will always come through and show you He will always come and show you that what you walk away from, He has something better for you, but sometimes it's not instant because He doesn't want you to immediately go back to your old ways. Does that make sense? Sometimes if He give it to us too quickly, we're not far enough removed from whatever it was that we was used to, and we'll get that and go back, right? But when you're faithful to Christ and when you really do try to understand and know what He wants you to know, your life changes in so many different ways, and you get doors open to you that might not have been opened if you didn't try to change. That's basically what yes. I'm excited. Give me 1 second. We can't door knock, but I'm going to tell them we over here. We live on YouTube. If you know where to find us, we'll see you. We live on YouTube. I'm excited for y'all. God is good. Let that be a lesson to some other folks too. You heard me? That God is still in the blessing business. He ain't changed. Okay? Y'all hear me? The newest WOIU was born the day before yesterday, Lady Ezra, my granddaughter. Congratulations. Listen, right. We got some, God know what to do. Because you know we love the babies. And we got a promotion and all of this. God is good. Even in crazy times. Listen, let me go get my coffee. God know what to do. Okay. But who remembers the other day when I said it's not one day that we don't come in here that we don't hear an amazing testimony about a blessing that God has done? Y'all hear me? We had over 1,000 days of having class. You hear me? That's at least 1,000 miracles, which we already know it ain't normally just one. You hear me? That's at least 1,000 miracles that you all have been privy to. Every day somebody is coming in here talking about how amazing God is and something that He has done. So just think about that. New life, new experiences. God, He is good in what He do. And we get to be a part of it every day. The miracles of other people that we've grown to love. I'm excited. I know what He doing. God know what He doing. And I'm grateful I get to be a part of it too. Every day that give all of us hope that God will change something for us as well. You hear me? That's why I want to be around people that's always got a problem. I mean, but is you waiting on God to solve it, or is you? Because we be looking for the blessings. You hear me? Who over here now? You go looking for blessings. Anybody? You go looking for blessings now, and not in a way of, oh, I want to be blessed, but you're in expectation that God is going to take care of you. And that's what I mean by looking for blessings. Not just what you want, but you're in expectation that He's going to take care of it. If you don't have that, then you don't see things like this as a blessing. You don't see Him, taking you through every day. Y'all remember when I told y'all, God used to put, when we first started this, I said, God had to get me okay with everyday money. It was just enough money to get me through that day. Anybody remember me telling y'all that testimony? I've told it a few times since we've been here. Who remembers? Y'all remember me telling y'all that testimony? That he had to get me used to everyday money. Sometimes it was $20. You remember? And I used to be like, this is crazy because I can go out and get some money. He said, I know, but will you trust me that this $20 is going to be enough for your whole day? And I used to be like, I got to trust you today, or can I wait till tomorrow? Listen, you said in expectation now with the situation I have going on right now. I'm trusting Him to work it out. That's all. That's all He needs you to do. Do you realize that's your only part in every single trial and tribulation you go through? Raise your hand if you know that. The only thing that He needs you to do is trust. He don't need you to make no, just trust. That's it. Because trusting Him means you have faith that He is going to do what He said He's going to do. He's going to be Jehovah Jireh, which is your provider. You don't have to know where it's going to come from. It doesn't matter. That's not the... See, people be worried about, well, where's it going to come from? He said me. And me is anybody around you. Any door I want you to walk into. Any lottery ticket. Any stranger. Anybody. You worried about where it's going to come from. That's not what you're supposed to be worried about. You supposed to be worried about who going to do it. Come on, nephew. Talk to me. He said, everything you see and don't see, I own it. Why is you worried about? It's going to come from me. However it get to you, it came from me. That's all you need to be worried about. And once I learned the secret, people used to be like, you're not worried. Listen, he already know where I'm supposed to move. He already know the landlord. He already know if the car is gonna make it or not. And even if it don't, he already got a tow truck that's gonna be there. Like I literally like listen, I have learned in my 30 years, more than that now, 30 plus years of being on my own in a lot of cities where I didn't have no family, and even if I was there, I couldn't get no help. So I have learned that every single space that you get into, it is a space for you to see God in a different way. You hear me? Sometimes we don't know that it's time for us to go. And we be, okay, all I need you to do is think about the times when God told people in the Bible, go east. Go east where? Just start walking east. Buenos dias. Just got off. Hey, you hear me? What you mean just walking east where? East. Just east. Will you trust him if he just give you information to go east? He ain't told you where east, how far east, nothing. Just east. This is the kind of stuff that he does because if he tells you you're gonna meet somebody on the way, you're gonna say, "But what if they not who they say they is?" And well, I don't know if I can trust them. So he don't even tell you you're gonna meet the person. Okay? You said now that's definitely true. And be so scared because he haven't revealed it all just yet. Right. And that creates doubt. So why would he tell you? Just go. Just go. Just go. Now, I'm going to tell you why this is relevant. This morning, when I got up after I talked to my kids and stuff, I was feeling like I was overstimulated, is what was going on. Hey, okay? You said God said, trust me, and that's what I have learned to do. This part, it's going to be the best thing you can. So I was reading earlier, and I was contemplating on if I was going to get on or not because I don't feel good. And so I was like, okay. And then I was like, all right, Dad, I hear you, because I did a devotional. I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I talked to my son here for a moment, and then like I said, I'm not going to be on here long, right? But it has everything to do with what we're going to read or just at least look over. I probably won't do, excuse me, too much reading because my eyes is crazy, but we're going to just skim through, okay? And it's something that we've studied before, but I read something today and I was like, oh, that's interesting, because revelation comes at different times. He don't always give it all to you at once. I've read this before. We've read it before, but he showed me something different. Now, before we get to that, the thought came to my mind about ministrating women, right? And so I looked it up to see if women without a period can still get pregnant. And they said yes, because if the body is still ovulating, even though there is no shedding of the lining, that they can still get pregnant, right? And I was like, okay, that's interesting, right? So I want to share something with y'all and tell me what you think. Okay. Y'all ready? Y'all want to hear this? So do you believe that every single thing has something to do with something else before we go forward? Everything. Okay. Good. So you said, yeah, like how fruit ain't for me. Okay. All right. Everything has to do with something. Look at what I found, y'all. It's so funny you say that. I promise y'all be in my business. I'm gonna tell you two things. Y'all be in my business, Aquila. Because me and my son, right before I got on here, just added up a rough estimate of the hours that I've put in for class in the last just 3 years. We didn't even do 3.5 years. We just did 3 years. And if we take our classes at 3 hours, it's 4,500 hours in 3 years. In just 3 years, not 3.5, right? And if we do 6 hour classes, which most times, especially when I first started, we was doing 3 in the morning and 3 at night at least, right? 9,000 hours. At least. So then we looked up how many hours are in a year. 26,280. So he said, Mom, you even just doing 3 hour classes, 4,500 hours out of 26,000. That's just 3 hour classes. Well, we know that we do 5 to 6 every day, just about it, whether it be 2 here or 3 there, whatever, right? For the most part, we get right about over 9,000 hours of teaching, whether y'all was here or not. Okay, that's a lot. That's almost half. You know, it's a large percentage of time, and I know it's more than that, but we lowballed it. You hear me? That's crazy. It is. Okay. So looking at those numbers, it just, it's funny you say that. And then the other thing was, okay, I had the thought about the baptism this morning, right? Because baptism, God said something to me yesterday about baptism, and I was like, okay, you know? And then this morning I get an email, can't remember who it's from, it just came across my thing saying, if you need a place to baptize, I can rent it. Listen, you said the rollover from your vacation hours. This part, listen, I said, I don't even have words. I don't even have words for that. But that's crazy you say that because y'all be in my business. I just want y'all to know that. Oh, Jesus. Let me get on to this. Listen. Okay. So, anybody know who Ammon is? Anybody know who Ammon is? Who is Amun or Amun or a man? Or Amun? Aman. A-M. Right. Do you know? Can you tell me how they describe him? He has a couple different forms that he shows up in. Interesting. So then if God has been dealing with y'all about getting baptized, I might not be able to do it, but you need to go ahead and do it. If you know of a church, even if you don't fool with them like that, but you know of a church that will baptize you, I need you to go there. Okay? Even if I don't do it. A sun god, eagle, and a bird, man. Anything else? Amon, if you spell it like that, or Amun. Anything else that he was portrayed as or depicted as? Y'all didn't get ram's head depicted as a ram or a human with a ram's head? It didn't come up with that for y'all? There we go, Lucille. And the legend of Kora. That's important. That's very important. Okay. So it can be spelled Amunamon or Amen. Amon, Amun, or Amen. I need you to pay attention to this part, okay? If you got a pen and paper, write this down, because I think it's going to be very interesting what we're about to talk about for just a few minutes, and then we'll get to something else. Now, remember that my anime babies come in here and they tell us about how much of the stuff we study is in their anime. Well, in an anime in here, The Legend of Kora, right? In The Legend of Kora, it says he's a waterbender, a bloodbender, who leads an anti-bending revolution. Additionally, Ammon is the name of a marquise of hell in demonology. It's a whole show. Okay. So look at this. Now that's gonna take us over there, but we got to stay right here real quick, and then we gonna move through that, right? We gonna move through a form of a wolf with a serpent's tail, sometimes vomiting flames, or as a man with a raven's head. So he got a couple different forms that he take, but we gonna focus on the realm right now, okay? Okay, well, you don't got to worry about the pastors. You going to anoint your body, and then wherever God leads you, that's where you go. Okay, that's not the thing. You need to get in the water if you haven't. He can block whatever you need to block from them. You ain't starting at the church. Baptism is baptism, okay? Okay? Long as they saying what they need to say, you, baptism, okay? Here we go. Anyway, so remember I said I just looked up, a woman being able to menstruate, or not menstruating but still passing her eggs, right? So no menses, okay? No menses is called amenorrhea or amenorrhea. I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but it's Rhea, right? This part, Mari, before they start shutting down the local churches, because you know it's coming, right? Amenorrhea. Rhea. And I said, wait a minute. Rhea is the Greek goddess and Titan associated with fertility, motherhood, childbirth, and comfort. She was the daughter of Gaia, so her mama was from Earth, and Uranus, heaven. Her daddy was an angel, and the older sister of Cronus, whom she married. Okay. She's a fertility goddess. Amun is depicted as a man with a ram's head, or a ram with a human body, or however you look, a ram with a human head. Is that not the Baphomet? Amun or Rhea? I'm not even about to do it today. There we go. Okay. I know he's King Dudley, but you never ever stay on. Um, that's what I'm talking about, Pumpkin. That's what we talking about. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So could it be Amun or Rhea that is attacking the womb so that there's no blood? Because if she was a Titan, and we know Amun was a Titan too, what was their job? What was they trying to do? Hello? Because we know that this is based on Assyrians and Babylonians. What was these people trying to do? Stop birth. And we know that where there's blood, there's life. Destroy civilization of God's chosen descendants, right? And just stop people from being, they want to take over the earth and just have them reign the earth, the giants. Remember? They was eating everything. They was eating the people. They was trying to wipe the smaller selves off the face of the planet, remember? That was their goal, to get rid of the humans. With them and their daddies and their mamas. Okay. So why would this diagnosis be named after two children of the angels? And then think about it. Menes and Menses is very close together. Menes was where we get the word ministration. Menes was the first pharaoh of Egypt, right? He was the first pharaoh of the first dynasty, Menes. Ministration, And then amenorrhea is nomenses. Do you all remember when we read in Jasher that it said the sons of God and the giants, they gave the women a drink that rendered them barren, like birth control, because they wanted their bodies to stay beautiful, right? But this also made me think about, because there was a mutation of the human body, excuse me, when the angel DNA was introduced and the animal DNA was introduced, right? We know that the giants kept taking normal sized women and trying to get them to bear their babies. Could it be because some of the mutations in the giant women, it made it hard for them to reproduce? So this is why they would go and take normal sized women and try to reproduce with them, because maybe because the DNA had not been tampered with just yet, it was easier for them. I mean, I'm not saying it is, but it makes sense with all the genetic disorders that are going around, and we know how they got introduced to the human genome. I just think that's crazy that something that is named after two titans or two angels' children has everything to do with no blood being in. Because, I mean, you can still have a baby without it, but it makes it harder. Y'all don't think that's crazy? Am I thinking too much into this? I saw that name and I said, amenorrhea. Amenorrhea. It's either going to be this one or this one against your womb. And they are children of the angels, the rulers of Assyria and Babylon. Am I reaching, or do y'all see it? Okay. Because I said, this is interesting that they named it that. Or am I tripping? Okay. We ain't even done yet. Okay? Because what's really crazy is I just read this at 7:19 and it's 9:03. I read this at 7:19. I was looking at this at 7:19, right? But I'm about to take you to something that I read this morning, earlier, when I was studying way earlier in the day, probably about 10, 11 o'clock or something like that. I was reading this in Josephus, and it's okay. Let's just go where we're going. So I bet I didn't plug this up, which I should have. Oh, not too bad. Okay. I don't know how long you're gonna stay on. So I went to Josephus, right? And I was just looking around because I had had a moment. Well, first of all, let me tell you something. I was talking to God. A thought just hit me. Is the code of error, and what if after the flood he started adding more time sensitive and put conditional coding in it that would be harder for when they came back later in the flood? He very well could have, because we got smaller afterwards. Everything in the earth got smaller after the flood. The end times to repopulate, one of the conditions will be if they were willing to choose to recreate with the giants. It could be. But you got to think about it, nephew. What's really been sitting on my mind is everything on the face of the earth. Uh-oh. Because look at where all of these giants and stuff are coming out of now. They coming out the mountains, and they're called the mountain builders. So I believe not all of them were destroyed. I believe they went down in the tunnels in the earth. Because you got to think, even if God broke up the earth and they floated to different areas, which is exactly what happened, whenever we go looking in history, like even in the 1500s, when old boy got over to Patagonia and the Amazon and all of this, the giants was there, right? So what if they were in the earth, in these large caves that we find in that, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they just like floated away to where they was at, but when they came out, the earth wasn't connected anymore, like a submarine, because they call that the subterranean area of the earth, right? The subterranean, like in the movie Troll. Yeah, right. But think about how many women come up snatched in natural parks too, and they never find them. They never find their bodies. They never, you know what I mean? A lot of women come up missing in wooded areas and mountainous ranges when they're running and hiking and all of this stuff. They just come up missing. Like, right? And think about this too. In all of the situations we've seen with these indigenous people, they have to give them a sacrifice. Sometimes it's young girls, right? Sometimes it's an animal or whatever. So just think about that. It very well could be. It makes them harder. So, because I know what I read in the Patagonia Giants, that's exactly what would happen. But a lot of the women would either die during intercourse or die trying to have the baby, and that's in the Patagonia Giants. So I believe what you're saying. So they keep snatching them because that's in the Pentagon. That's in the Magellan, that they would take the women and try to reproduce with them and different things like that. So maybe you're right. Maybe they keep trying because they've been trying to get their races back up for the ones that are still here. It makes sense. It do. It makes sense. Because they probably would have been and repopulated the earth by now. And maybe God did make it harder. And hard because by us being smaller, you got to think them women was 30 feet tall, 27 feet tall, 25 feet tall. Okay. Well, the Sudanese people are the tallest people, right? So they got some 7-foot women. So 3 times that, 4 times that, they was that tall, 30 feet. Because 4 of them is 28 feet, right? 4 of Shaq. So they can easily carry those babies. But us being as small as we are, I could see that being a thing of him saying, I'm not even going to make the women big enough to be able to, you know what I'm saying? Even though the baby going to come out, but it takes so much from the body that we won't be able to handle it. I can see, I mean, because the earth don't produce like it used to. And we are part of the earth. And we come out of the earth and we go back into it. So that makes sense. If y'all watched They Clone Tyrone, they was doing some crazy stuff in that. And it was considered inside the earth. Okay. Yeah. In Africa, a lot of women have been missing and they returned when they say they were taken to underground cities and they had kids with the not human men. I believe it because the African women have the most natural genome. They have the closest to Eve, and it was Eve's daughters that reproduced with the giants. Makes perfect sense. They have the oldest DNA that hasn't been tampered with as much, so it makes perfect sense that that happens. And to the water kingdoms, when people used to say they had a what's the name husband, nobody believed them. And now they're saying, oh, okay, yeah, the marine kingdom is real. And people do get taken under there and they can breathe underwater. It's whole cities under there. Little Mermaid wasn't fake, it was real. Okay, we gonna tell y'all now. So that's why I said, even watching The Invisible City, I'm like, this gotta be real because this is crazy. How do y'all know all of this? And then you think about the different what you call it, birthmarks and stuff that people have. You know, different, like how that man had a hole in the top of his body, top of his head, because he was the whole dolphin. You got to think about all of those different things. I just read an Asian book, The Secret of the Village Cage. Interesting. Caves, got it. Interesting. It's a real thing around here. So look, I was reading in Josephus. If you guys have Josephus, it is book 4, chapter 3 and chapter 4. Now I read a little bit more of it, but this is mainly what I read, okay? You got me? And I'm just going to hit on some key points in here because it's also in Genesis 16 about Abiram, Dothan, and what's his name? Kora. Abiram, Dothan, and Kora. Okay? So it's in Genesis 16, right? So I was having a talk with God this morning, and then he told me Moses, and I'm like, okay, Moses, right? So then he told me come get this, and I did, and I was reading it, and of course I was like, okay, yeah, I get all of this, because sometimes I be feeling like that, but we gonna read about it, okay? Y'all ready? And we not gonna read all of it, but we are gonna read it, okay? Here we go. So, all right, it says, when Moses had said this, the multitude left off the turbulent behavior they had indulged and the suspicion they had of Moses, and commended what he had said, for those proposals were good and were so esteemed of the people. At that time, therefore, they dissolved the assembly, but on the next day they came to the congregation in order to present at the sacrifice, and at the determination that was to be made between the candidates for priesthood. Now this congregation proved a turbulent one, and the multitude were in great suspense, in expectation of what was to be done. For some of them would have been pleased if Moses had been convicted of evil practices, but the wiser sort desired that they might be delivered from their present disorder and disturbance. For they were afraid that if this sedition went on, the good order of their settlement would rather be destroyed. But the whole body of the people do naturally delight in clamors against the governors, and by changing their opinions upon the harangues of every speaker. Child. Hold on, y'all. I'm in class. Okay. Bye. Okay. Bye, girl. I don't be knowing if it's an emergency or not. Ugh. Honest kids. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Here we go. Da, 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 da. It says by changing their opinions. Okay, it says, by the harangues of every speaker, and disturb the public tranquility. And now Moses sent messengers for Abiram and Dathan, and ordered them to come to the assembly and wait there for the holy offices that were to be performed. But they answered the messenger that they would not obey his summons, nay, would not overlook Moses' behavior, who was growing too great for them by evil practices. Now when Moses heard of this their answer, he desired the heads of the people to follow him. And he went to the faction of Dathan, not thinking it any frightful thing at all to go to these insolent people. So they made no opposition, but went along with them. But Dathan and his associates, when they understood that Moses and the principal of the people were coming to them, came out with their wives and children, and stood before their tents, and looked as to see what Moses would do. They also had their, they had also their servants about them to defend themselves in case Moses should use force against them. Now, these folks is the ones that done stirred up everybody against Moses. These are the people that saying, we're not going to listen to you. We don't care that you got us out of Egypt. We don't care that when our food was spoiling, you prayed and manna came down for us, which had never happened. We don't care that when we was thirsty, you allow, even though when you struck the rock, you ain't gonna be able to get into the promised land, but we still can get in. Hello. And got us some water. All of these different things. He we don't care. He doing this by witchcraft. Going around stirring up people against Moses. For what? And this man is keeping y'all alive. Not one time, not two times, not three times, not four times, not five times, too many to count. You hear me? I said, oh, okay, here we go. Crazy. He said, but in what? He said, but he came near and lifted up his hands to heaven and cried out with a loud voice in order to be heard by the whole multitude and said, O Lord of the creatures that are in heaven, in earth, and in the sea, for thou art the most authentic witness to what I have done, that it has all been done by thy appointment, and that it was thou that afforded us assistance when we attempted anything, and basically showed us mercy on the Hebrews in all their distresses. Do thou come now and hear all that I say, for no action and thought escapes thy knowledge, so that thou wilt not disdain to speak what is true. For my vindication without any regard to the ungrateful imputations of these men. As for what was done before I was born, thou knowest best, as not learning them by report, but seeing them and being present with them when they were done. But for what has been done of late, and which these men, although they know them well enough, unjustly pretend to suspect, be thou my witness. When I lived a private, quiet life, I left those good things, which by my own diligence and by thy counsel I enjoyed with Regel, my father-in-law, and I gave myself up to this people, and underwent many miseries on their account. I also bore great labors at first, in order to obtain liberty for them, and now in order to their preservation, and have always showed myself ready to assist them in every distress of theirs. Now, therefore, since I am suspected by those very men whose being is owing to my labors, come thou, as it is reasonable to hope thou wilt. Thou, I say, who showedest me the fire at Mount Sinai, and madest me to hear its voice, and to see the several wonders which thou placed afforded me. Thou who commandedest me to go to Egypt and declare thy will to this people. Thou who disturbest the happy estate of the Egyptians, and gave us the opportunity of flying away from our slavery under them, and madest the dominion of the Pharaoh inferior to my dominion. Thou who didst make the sea dry land for us, when we knew not whither to go, and didst overwhelm the Egyptians with those destructive waves which have been divided for us. Thou who didst bestow upon us the security of weapons when we were naked. Thou who didst make the foundations that were corrupted to flow, so as to be fit for drinking, and didst furnish us with water that came out of the rocks, when we were in the greatest want of it. Thou who didst preserve our lives with quails, which was food from, I'm sorry, y'all, the sea. When the fruits of the ground failed us, thou who didst send us food from heaven, as had never been seen before, thou who didst suggest to us the knowledge of thy laws and appoint to us a form of government. Come thou, I say, O Lord of the world, and that as such a judge and as a witness to me as cannot be bribed. Show how I am never admitted of any gift against injustice from any of the Hebrews, and have never condemned a poor man that ought to be that ought to have been acquitted on account of one that was rich, and have never attempted to hurt this commonwealth. So basically, I know that was a lot of reading. He was like, look, the only reason these people is alive is because of me. The only reason that they got water, I went through hell trying to get them out of Egypt. And now they are stirring up the leaders and the people against me. Y'all don't think that's crazy? Y'all see how many things he listed? Do you hear me? He like, all that I went through to get these people right here. And the very people that I was keeping alive was trying to figure out how to ruin my life. Y'all don't think that's crazy? Yeah, y'all don't think that's crazy? That's what they was on? All of this stuff. He said, I went through some turbulent times trying to get them out of there. I went through some turbulent times when we didn't have no food. Our food was failing. I prayed and you got food and this and that. He was like, and it still ain't enough. These folks is talking crazy. Not only this, they already tried to stone me. He said, when we didn't have nowhere to go, you said crazy and sound familiar. Listen. It is nuts. It is nuts. He said, what else? He said, Dad, listen, I'm tired. He said, look here, this is what we gonna do. Okay, since I'm doing this by witchcraft, since I'm not doing right, since I picked my brother because he was my brother and not because you told me to. He said, this is what I'm about to do. Now, if you read this in our Bible, it gives some of the story, most of the story, but it don't break it down like this to how he was actually feeling, where you can go through and say, look, hey, you hear me? Did it go off? Mm-hmm. Oh, no. We got a little bit of light. Here we go. I said, oop. It be the people. You hear me? Here we go now. My light going out, but we gonna work it while we got it. So, he said, well, that's what we got. All right. Well, Dad, I need you to do what you're gonna do here. All right. He said, I am now here present and am suspected of a thing that were the remotest from my intentions. He said, they saying some stuff that I wouldn't even think about doing, as if I had given the priesthood to Aaron, not at thy command, but out of my own favor to him. He said, I'm right here. He said, they trying to say that I gave the priesthood to my brother because that's my brother. No, I did what you told me to do. Here we go. Do thou at this time demonstrate all things that are administered by thy providence, and that nothing happens by chance, but is governed by thy will, and thereby attain its end, and also demonstrate that thou takest care of those that have done good to the Hebrews. Demonstrate this, I say, by the punishment of Abiram and Dathan, who condemned thee as an insensible being, and one overcome by contrivances. This wilt thou do by inflicting such an open punishment on these men who so madly fly in the face of thy glory, as will take them out of the world, not in an ordinary matter, but so that they may appear, but so that it may appear that they do not die after the manner of other men. Let that ground which they tread upon about them and sorry, y'all. Let that ground which they tread upon open about them and consume them with their families and goods. This will be a demonstration of the power to all and this method of their sufferings will be an instruction of wisdom for those that pertain profound sentiments of thee. By this means I shall be found a good servant in the precepts that thou hast given by me. But if the calumnies they have raised against me be true, mayest thou preserve these men from any evil accident, and bring all that destruction on me which I have imprecated upon them. And when thou hast inflicted punishment on those that have endeavored to deal unjustly with this people, bestow upon them concord and peace. Save this multitude that follow thy commandments, and preserve them free from harm, and let them not partake of the punishment of those that have sinned. For thou knowest thyself it is not just for the wickedness of those, men, the whole body, I'm saying for the for the wickedness of those men, the whole body of the Israelites should not suffer punishment. Okay, so basically, he was like, look, if I did what they said I did, okay, if I did what they said I did, he said, first of all, if they in the wrong, let this ground open up, and not just them, their families and everything that they own. Let the ground open up and swallow them up. He said, but if I'm guilty of what they said I did, let that punishment be on me. What? Who remembers when we first started WOIU and I said, you can be unhappy with me, but when you start to pour poison through the camp, you gotta go. Especially saying things that I didn't do and trying to make people believe that I did those things because you feel away. Who remembers this? Y'all remember me saying that? I said you can't stay here because that will spread through the camp. Y'all remember? Y'all remember this? Okay? You remember? This is the same thing. People felt like I was being mean or rude. But this right here, I'm here trying to help people. Come on, Mari. I'm here trying to help people get free. I'm trying to make sure they get their spiritual food. I'm trying to make sure they wade through these waters of life. God, I have gone through a lot to do what we do here. Okay? I have endured some things, and it's so crazy because this was my prayer this morning. Right? I was just talking to God about different things, kind of where I am with myself and my life and different things like that. And I'm like, God, okay, because, this, that, and the other, just personal conversation. He tells me to come in here and get this. He say Moses. He don't say what part of Moses. I'll open up to this. Okay? I open up to this. Right here. Okay? It was 600,000 people. I'm going to say it again. It was 600,000 people. And one Moses. If they got mad, they was talking about hurting him. If he said something they didn't like, they start whispering about him behind his back. Not to mention that every single day when he got up, he had to worry about 600,000 people. When they got up, they only had to worry about them and their family. If he said the wrong thing to the 600,000 people, he could get in trouble. If he led them in the wrong way, he could get in trouble. If he acted away in front of the 600,000 people, something could happen to him. But they only had to worry about them and they camp, they house, they family. But they were always speaking against the person that didn't only worry about him and his family. He was responsible for 600,000 people. Keeping 600,000 people fed, keeping 600,000 people safe, keeping 600,000 people warm, keeping 600,000 people from getting sick, keeping 600,000 people. Do you hear me? And every day somebody had an attitude. Every day somebody didn't like what he did. Every day. This man has put his life on the line a gazillion times for these people. And still, it was not good enough. And the moment he said something or did something that they didn't like, baby, they didn't have no problem trying to rile up a few folks against him. That's mind-blowing. You don't think that's crazy? And then they wasn't even telling the truth because their intentions was wrong. They wanted to be, we ain't listening to you. You ain't the only one. You ain't the only one. This is why I told y'all I don't do that whole jealousy thing. Because them folks, they going to start spreading stuff about you in the family. They going to start spreading stuff about you at the job. They going to in your friend group. Oh no. And it leaks through. It leaks out. Okay? So Moses said, bet, Lord, if I'm the troublemaker, if I'm wrong, if I'm not doing this right, let it happen to me. Okay? So, but if they own some BS, I don't want you to let nobody come up and no. I want everybody, because they were spreading the information to everybody. Anybody that would listen. They was going around camp to camp to camp, having secret meetings behind Moses' back. You hear me? Then, because why Abiram, why y'all didn't want to go meet him by yourself, but y'all going around to everybody talking about what he ain't doing, or why you shouldn't listen to him, or that God is not using him. But why y'all just didn't go to Moses? Why you just didn't go talk to him? And matter of fact, when he called for you, you didn't even come. You hear me? So then he came to y'all. Moses pulled up. He said, oh, okay, they're not coming. Oh, okay. Hey, go get y'all stuff. You, and you. Come on. Go get your stuff. We about to go down here to the camp. What? He said, oh, y'all not going to come? I'll be over there. And he said, hello, 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 hello. Can everybody hear me? How loud do you have to talk for 600,000 people to hear you? I doubt it was microphones. I mean, they might have had a horn, but it didn't say he was talking through that. It said he raised his voice. How loud do you have to talk for 600,000 people to hear you? Your voice will carry. If you standing somewhere and you yelling, and it's 600,000 people, you think everybody gonna hear you loudly and clearly? $600,000. Where could you stand without amplification that 600,000 people could hear you. Everybody. Without no microphone and amplifiers and speakers for you. Where are you standing at? For a regular human voice to travel where everybody can hear. Not 6,000, 600,000. Crazy, right? Okay. So he gets there, pulls up with his homeboys. He says all this, and guess what started to happen immediately? Now, he said, don't touch nothing of Dothans and Abirams. Don't touch their donkey. Don't be leaning your hand on. Look at my grandma arm coming on in. All right. Um, don't have your hand on their post. If you got any of their earrings, anything you borrowed from them, I need you to give it all back. If they gave you a donkey, let them have it. Go on and give it back. You got a rug over there that belonged to them, you gonna need to take that back. Go on and take them all their stuff. Soon as they returned all of the stuff that had everything to do with them people, the ground started to shake. You said a mountain. He was in the middle of them. He was in the middle of the camps. He could have stood on a mountain, but at this time when he was speaking, he was in the middle of the camp. Because they say he went down to the camp. Then they was in like a valley in the desert. Right. Right. Okay. Because he didn't left where he was at and went there. And he's in the middle of all of the camps of everybody. But everybody could hear. Okay. Once everybody done gave their stuff back, it was an earthquake. And everything and everybody that was connected to Abiram and Dothan got dropped into the earth. They cows, it said everything they love, all of their family members, and them. That's great grandkids, grandkids, sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, nieces and nephews. Anything that they loved and anything that they possessed was dropped into the earth. And then the earth closed up back over them like nothing happened. And it said not one person cried because they didn't want to be attached. They didn't want God to get them. So they acted like they didn't even know that didn't nobody mourn them. Nobody even cried. They act like they didn't even know that they died. Let me ask you a question. Do you see some of the same things happening right now? That sounds like a gun. Y'all hear that? Oh no, that's fireworks. Okay. Yeah. Hold on. I'm like, wait a minute. Y'all heard that? So it wasn't just me? It was fireworks. But yeah. I said, wait a minute now. It's fireworks. No. No, nephew. It was sounding like it was. Listen. No, it's fireworks. Thank you, Jesus. Because that sounded real. Wait a minute now. Listen. Oh, you see? At least you know that you can take a girl out of the places, but you can't take the places out the girl, honey. Mm-hmm. You cannot do that. Hey, pumpkin. I was like, it's beginning, nephew, for real, for real. I was like, hold on, wait a minute. You just wait a minute. Hold on one second. Just wait, because that was constant, which is what we're going to have to get used to anyway, which is real, real crazy. But do you see how, one, like I told my son, it made me think about the archaeological digs that they do, and they find groups where their tents, their food, the animals, everything is preserved. Like literally, something just the ground opened up, they dropped in, and they're completely covered perfectly in this dirt. Five, whatever, however, 20,000 feet or whatever, I don't know, however far down. But everything that they own, some of them, it said the food was still in their stomach. And everybody had the same dinner because they can go through there and see what they ate and all this kind of stuff or whatever. Bodies, but perfectly preserved in the earth. And they be like, well, we wonder what happened here, and we don't. This done happened a couple of times, ain't it? Where the ground opened up. It happened when they went over there into the camp, and they brought that stuff back and tried to hide it under their tent, and God told them, move back. Everybody connected to them. So this ain't the only time that this didn't happen in the Bible, where the ground opened up and swallowed the people and everything that they got with them, and then closed back over them instantly. If you look at the floods and the devastation that's happening right now, it's lightweight the same thing. There are people that are being covered in earth with all of their belongings, their children, everything that's important to them, devastated, gone. They can't even find the bodies. Are you seeing it? Now, I'm not saying these people did anything wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But it is crazy. And it's specific places. Do you see it or no? And it's a lot of history in behind these places where these things are happening. Does that make sense? And some people is making it out and some people is not. Could this be a part of that, what we just read? A lot is coming out about the owners of these camps and just different things about the cities and the land. All these different things is just coming out, and it's crazy. Because to us, these was random places, but to God, maybe not so much. You know what I mean? You hear me? To God, maybe not so much. Maybe there is a specific reason. Even though they're opening the levees and all of these different things, maybe there's a specific reason why those places, why it's happening there. And again, his thinking is not our thinking, right? But look at what happened. He didn't say take out the children, take out the wives, just leave the men, because it was the men, the two men that were doing it. But they lost their entire family because of what they were doing. They lost all their possessions, everything they worked for, their animals, everything gone. It's going with you down. That's interesting to me. It really is. It's interesting. Real interesting. I said, well, now, the crazy thing is, Kora was the person that got these two people stirred up against Moses. Kora. Okay? Listen to Rod Pickens' testimony, had me in tears. Uh-oh. I don't know who that is. I don't know who Rod Pickens is. Okay? I have to look him up, Pumpkin. You hear me? It's Kora is the one that stirred these people up against Moses, right? And all of these people lost everything because Kora. You said you were posted the interview I saw. Baby, can I tell you something? Mama be reposting a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff y'all send me, I just be reposting it. I don't always watch it all the way through, and I definitely don't be looking at no names. I'm sorry. So I have to go back and look. That's like y'all was telling me about the Chewy lady. Y'all said I reposted some of her stuff, and I had to go back and actually look at her. I can barely do the names over here, but I'ma look. I'll go look and see it. Because sometimes I don't watch them all the way through. I'm just going to be honest. I got to. I don't always watch them. It'd be a few good things. Sometimes I repost stuff. I listen to about 10 seconds of it. And I just repost it and go to the next thing. So, some stuff, y'all be like, I don't know. Some of it I watch all the way. Some of it I just be trying to help people get exposure, you know. So, I just be reposting stuff. That might be bad. But I do. So I'll go look. Okay. I do. I be trying to help y'all get exposure. I be trying to, get information. Sometimes mama don't read it up. I don't. I don't. I'm gonna be honest. Y'all, if y'all tag me in it or somebody I see, so I'll share it because y'all think it's important, but I don't always watch it. I would never get to class if I did. We have get it in and get it out. So I'll go back and look at it. You said Roy Pickens. What's his name? Rod Pickens. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna look at. Girl, I just repost it. Y'all tag me, I'll be like, okay, they know it's good, so I'm just gonna do it. Now, it's not bugging me. I mean, if it's stuff that the community needs to know, y'all can tag me. But I'm just saying, sometimes I don't watch it all the way through. I don't. Sometimes I don't watch it all the way through. A lot of times I don't watch it all the way through. If it's good information, I might go back and look at it or whatever. And part of that is because, like, some people tag me in one part of a video, or it's a stitch and it's the same thing over and over, but it's different parts of it. You know what I mean? So, like, you might post the real video, but you might tag me in the what you call it, the person that whatever you call it. I can't even think of the word right now. What's the word I'm looking for, y'all? Stitch it. You might text me, tag me in a Stitch video. You might tag me in original. And then, so it's 4 or 5 people kind of picking up different parts of the same thing. You'll be surprised a lot of the story is similar to the things you say. It's on YouTube. Okay. Okay. Right. Right. Okay. Well, I don't get that many tags a day as much. I don't, but it be, because some of y'all send me videos in my inbox and, and then plus whatever I'm looking at. So, yeah. Sometimes you just be overstimulated. So, that being said, back to what I was telling y'all about the anime. Okay. So, again, it says the Legend of Kora, Ammon in the Legend of Kora in the anime series, right? The Legend of Kora, Ammon is a charismatic yet menacing waterbender, bloodbender who leads an anti-bending revolution, right? Now, Kora is the person that turned, because mind you, they're all in the same family, right? This is what it's talking about. We all in the same family, and it's people that's older than Moses, and it's people that's older than Moses, and it's people that's richer than Moses, and it's people that's wiser or whatever than Moses that should have been picked from this family or that family or this family, right? But they are all family, right? Right? All of these people are family. These people that are going up against Moses are like extended family members. Okay? So it's crazy that in the anime, they have Kora as a menacing waterbender and bloodbender that starts a revolution, a revolt. Do you think that's crazy? That in the anime, Kora stirs up a revolution, a bloodbender, you going against blood, right? You going against blood. You are now bending people to your will against a blood relative of yours who God has chose. He was menacing because he was going here and there, starting little fires in the camp. You don't think that's crazy? And I know it's supposed to be just anime, but it's real crazy that Kora in the Bible and Kora from anime, they have a lot of the same kind of, and I don't watch a lot of anime. But when I saw that, I said, now that's interesting because I just read the story earlier. But guess what? This has everything to do with amenorrhea or amenorrhea, the no menses, the woman not menstruating. That's what the amenorrhea is. And that's why I said it's so crazy that God had me read this earlier this morning about Kora and Moses and the 600,000 people and him stirring up folks against them. And then at 7:19, he asked me, put something in my mind to go see why, like if a woman's not menstruating, how she can have a baby. And they said because she's still ovulating, but it's harder. And this, that, and the other. And at the bottom of that is Kora. In the Legend of Kora. And it says in the Legend of Kora, Ammon, not Kora. Ammon is a charismatic yet menacing waterbender and bloodbender who wants an anti-bending revolution. So, it's Ammon, not Kora, but it's the Legend of Kora, right? So, like the spirit of Kora. You hear me? The legend of Kora, and we know Kora went against Moses. He had him doing all of these different things. Now, it says Ammon or Aman or Amun or Rhea, the the condition, the diagnosis stops blood. A blood bender. No menses is called Amun Rhea. Rhea is supposed to be the goddess of fertility, but Amenorrhea, however you say it, makes it harder because there's no blood to reproduce. And Amen is known as a blood bender and a water bender. Can I ask you one question? What are two things, the two main things that a newborn needs to stay alive in the womb? You said Kora, she's part of the chosen people that is meant to bring change and harmony to the world with immense signs and wonders. She also goes against the open rebellion that rises up. Blood and what else, nephew? Water. Blood and water. Bloodbender bloodbender and waterbender. Those are the two things that you need for life. And Amen is known as a bloodbender and a waterbender, right? But Amen in ancient Mesopotamia, okay, was looking like the Baphomet, who was always attacking children, had men unaliving children, and Amen or Rhea, right? Rhea is a fertility goddess. But also, do you see what I'm saying? Like, I know in the anime you said she. I'm sorry, I keep saying he. She. But look at it. Because if Kora was trying to bring change too. Remember? He was trying to change what God in the Bible, he was trying to change the order that God had set up. He was going against the laws that Moses had set down. He was going against the leadership of Moses, and he was stirring up the people against Moses. Korah is how Dothan and Abiram got unalived, because he got in their ear. And because of that, their line ceased to exist. All of their family members were done. Ain't nobody being born out of there. Nobody. Anybody. So I just find it interesting that they named it that. When you go look up who Amun is, Rhea, what she's supposed to represent, and then everything about this legend, or I'm sorry, not about the legend, but it has to do with water, blood, and Kora had to do with a revolt against the stuff that God has set up, the way that God set it up, and it cost people their lives, their children's lives, their wives' lives, their animals' lives, and everything that they own. Exactly. I know that there's a lot of different names and uses, and I know that in the whole God and God's world and spirit world, sometimes they're female, sometimes they're male. I just found that interesting that I read this story earlier, and then I go looking up blood and why a woman would menstruate, why she wouldn't have a baby, blase skip, and then all of this comes right in line with it. You hear what I'm saying? It's crazy that this disease is named after that. You see what I'm saying? Like the queen. Listen. So with that, you said like the queen of the damned. You mean Aaliyah? You see what I'm saying, Mari? You feel me? It's just odd because I read this. I was 7:19, getting ready to come in here, and this came to my mind. But I read that at like 9, 10 o'clock this morning. You see what I'm saying? And then for all of this to play into how it all worked out, it's just, I don't know. Cause why would they name it that? I remember she played Queen of the Dam, and she never had no kids either. And you know what's, yeah. And the ground opened up, and I mean, because, well, technically, it was, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you get a chance, watch it with nephew. It's very interesting. She died after that too. I'm gonna try. He's supposed to be coming down here soon. So, but y'all get what I'm saying? It's crazy that all of that is tied together. You hear me? Y'all don't think that's crazy? Went down in the water, right? Y'all don't think that that's weird that that's connected though a little bit, or maybe it's just me. But I'm like, why would he have me read that this morning about Kora, about them, about all of that, then have me just think of the whole Menzies thing, and then go look at that up, and here go this name again. And it's causing like a bloodline to cease. When I'm looking at Amenorrhea or Amenorrhea or however, and you hear in the legend of Korah, why is that connected? Right? But in the Bible, Korah caused his family members to lose their lives and everything that they own. Anything that was dear to them, that they loved, it was gone because of his jealousy. All right. So the last little part of this that I want y'all to think about before I get off of here. Y'all ready? Okay. We were told that the Israelites, right? Now, these people got in trouble because they went and fought the Canaanites, and they said, we got the ability, we got the weapons, and we got the strength to do it, right? So we know that they looked like grasshoppers to them, but a 60-foot man to a 450-foot man could still be very small. Do y'all agree? Hmm. Right? So if a man is 450 feet tall and then there's a 60-foot man, he's still not regular human size, but he's going to be way smaller than his 450-foot man, right? Right. Okay. Do you believe that the Israelites helped build all of the monuments that we see in Persia and in Egypt and other places? Isn't this what Moses freed them from? That's what, right? Moses freed the Israelites from being in slavery and having to build the pyramids and all of that, right? That's what they didn't told us this whole time. Right? That's what the Bible says too. That they was over there and they was working to build all the great temples and all of this. Well, aren't they telling us now that the giants built the temples? Because humans still can't move the blocks in Jerusalem and stuff like that. And in Egypt and in Persia, they still can't move one block. Right? Right? We seen the Prince of Egypt, and we saw the Israelites being beaten to build the Sphinx and all this other stuff. Yes or no? We seen it. And it's written in the scripture that they helped build Egypt in the 400 years that they were in slavery there, right? No? Yes. So, if the Israelites were building the monuments and they said that giants built the monuments, what were the Israelites? We know the Israelites came from, Jacob was a giant. So if giants built was in slavery, the Israelites helped build, then that means the Israelites, they came from Jacob, who was a giant. His 12 sons were giants. So the tribes of Israel were giants. We know this because they helped build Egypt and other places because they was taken into slavery in Babylon, another giant city. They was taken into slavery in Canaan, another giant city. They were forced to build the bigger giants places. You don't think that's crazy that it's been sitting right in front of our face the whole time? They told us the giants built Egypt, and we know that the Israelites was in slavery when they was building it. They were just the smaller giants. Nuts. See how they played in our face right there? They told us, oh, they built them. And if you notice, they always make the Pharaoh look real big. Like in the old movies, it wasn't that just he was standing up there, because even when he was way up on his platform, he still looked real, real big. They made him look godlike. No? He's always massive, some big cut up, bald head man with a magical staff. They got magical powers. They got all of this stuff, because whenever the people go in there, they look real small compared to this big old throne, just like Percy Jackson and the people. Now, I done showed y'all the picture from 18 whatever, where it was a big, big person, a medium-sized person, and then the little people. You said Jacob made a pillow out of a big boulder. Here we go. And his sons could run as fast as gazelles and pick up bears by their paws. And dash them against the rock. And the people is still in slavery, building, inventing, and curating trends to this day. History repeating stuff. Right. Right. But think about that. So then how big was Moses? He came out of the people that was in slavery in Egypt. He was born in Egypt. And if we know that the kings and the pharaohs was giants, in order for him to fit, he couldn't have been no... Well, he had to be able to be up there with them, nephew. But think about it. In order for him to be passed off as one of the Pharaoh's family members, because he wrestled with the sons and the brothers and competed with the army, right? He said he big enough for over 600,000 people to hear his voice without a mic. This is what I'm talking about. Now, that's why I was asking y'all, how is his voice going to carry if he in the middle of these people, in the middle of their camp, where 600,000, and it said he spoke loud. You hear me? So I know this, like, where's CERCA going with this? I just started thinking about it, like, wait a minute. Because they was able to overcome the Canaanites. You said giving Gideon and Hercules vibes. Listen, this. That's why I was like, wait a minute. Okay? Because they went to fight the Canaanites. They fought a few races of giants when they was in the wilderness. They was encamped all around. It was giants all around them. That's why it was like he wasn't going to take them this way, because it was two races of giants that way. And then remember when they was going over the mountain, I think it was Shimshi or Shishai or whatever his name is, Shammai or whatever, was throwing boulders at them, remember? Talking crazy, cursing them in his, well, that was David too, but it was another one that did it with Moses. They was tormenting them, remember? That's why they didn't want to go certain ways, because they was literally in the vicinity. They were basically in a valley, and all around them was the races of giants. The Canaanites this way, the Jebusites this way, to these people this way, to these people this way. So they had to find the lesser of the evils to go that route, to go to where they was going. But they still ended up right on the outside of the Canaanites' camp, that because they could look over it. The bigger siblings picking on the younger. This. this, because they said the Israelites was over there building Egypt. Y'all done seen them rocks. They ain't moving that with no stone. And that's why I think that this picture is so important. Remember when we first started this, I said, look how big he is. Look how big his horse is. And look how little the people are. The people are the size of the dogs. But look how big his horse is. And look how big he is. Them ain't kids running behind him and fighting in a war. One of Jacob's descendants ripped a lion in half, ripped a lamb out of a lion's mouth. Everybody a giant. Hear me. Y'all remember this picture? I said, y'all, this one of the first pictures we really got into. I said, look how little the people is under that horse, and look how big he is compared to the people. They not even taller than his wheels. His body size, look. And it's talking about the Hittites, the Mitanni, the Egyptians, the Canaanites, the Assyrians, and the Babylonians. Interesting. All the people we were just talking about. All the people we was just talking about. And this is Smithsonian battles, map by map. Look. Hittites, the Mitanni, the Egyptians, the Canaanites, and the Assyrians, and the Babylonians. And we know if we go to our big book, it says all of your Greek mythology is based on the Assyrian and Babylonian kings. They were the gods. Now, Auntie Sandra, if you in here, thank you for reminding me to go watch Stargate, the show. Mind blowing. I fell asleep on it because I wasn't feeling well earlier, and I'm probably about to get off now. But it's real crazy how the first episode of the show Stargate on Prime or wherever is that, the first episode is called the Sons of the Gods, and Amun Ra shows up. I said, what the? Then when I went and looked at when they went through the portal where they went to Egypt. They was in Egypt. The whole first of that show, you can literally tell it's Egypt. Everything about it, the Egyptian temples. I said they is in Egypt. And you had to go way, 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 way underground to the subterranean levels of Earth. And this is where the portal was, right? The Stargate. You mean like how they got CERN? The first episode is the Sons of the Gods. I said, and Amun Ra shows up, comes through the portal. He got the snake head people with him, with the glowing eyes. Now I know in this they show us, it was like a suit, but we know that that's really what they look like because we got the book where it shows us that the snake head people was there. And when they go through the portal, they go to ancient Mesopotamia. But they call it Abydos. I said, I fell asleep probably by the end of it, so I'm going to go back and watch it. But if you get time, the guy Tariq had hieroglyphs. Tariq had hieroglyphs on his head and body. Listen, he had the Omega sign, or the Omega sign with the thing. And Ra had on, yes. And then I just seen, now listen, I watched that earlier, nephew, to go to sleep at like 12 or whatever, 1 o'clock, whatever. I watched that, right? And they went to Abydos when they went through the thing, right? Get this. Why I get on TikTok right before coming on here. And the man, I said, God, it's just getting creepier and creepier out here. Because
you know the Bible said when a man
he wasn't there to present the trophy, he was there to steal it. He was already standing in front of the cameras. He was already waving his arms in victory.
Yep, that's right. As you can see right here, Mr. Golden Dawn, or a Bad Dawn, has kept the original Club World Cup trophy right here.
A Bad Dawn, Abaddon. A Bad Donald, Abaddon. Now, I just watched that show this morning. They was at Abydos. And this guy, Matt, said A Bad Dawn, Abaddon. Listen, just watch with me. Let me turn this down so you... Wait a minute, go back. Here we go.
He wasn't there to present the trophy. He was there to steal it. He was already standing in front of the cameras. He was already waving his arms in victory.
Yep, that's right. As you can see right here, Mr. Golden Dawn, or a Bad Dawn, has kept the original Club World Cup trophy right here for his Oval Office. Now, there's conflicting information that this is actually a counterfeit or a mock of the real one. Whatever it is, either way, he has this trophy in his Oval Office. While we also saw at the victory ceremony with the team and Mr. Golden Dawn right there, standing in front of a giant Saturn golden sphere. Can't make this up, which coincidentally we have seen a lot of Saturn symbolism lately, which in my own personal opinion and research on the matter, this whole Saturn symbolism can be traced back to Abaddon, the king of the bottomless pit of Revelation chapter 9 verse 11. You know the verse that reads, and they had as a king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, but in the Greek he has the name Apollyon. But now before you start commenting down below with your disagreements, just hear me out. So as we know in Greek mythology, Kronos, which in the Roman mythology is Saturn, same individual, Kronos was imprisoned in Tartarus after being overthrown by his son Zeus. Kronos, Saturn, a Titan and the youngest of the original Titans, ruled during the Golden Age. Where have I heard that before? Oh yeah, that's right.
He proudly proclaimed that the Golden Age of America is upon us.
Okay, so as we see, Kronos, which is Saturn, ruled during an age called the Golden Age, where man and Titans were living together. And then Kronos, Saturn, was imprisoned into Tartarus. Well, what's interesting is that this Greek word Tartarus is found in only one place in the New Testament, which is right here in 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4. For if God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell. That word hell right there is Tartarus, or it derives from Tartarus, and deliver them into chains of darkness to be reserved for judgment. As we can see right here from the Strong's Concordance, for that word hell in 2 Peter chapter 2 is Tarturo, which comes from Tartarus, which means the deepest abyss. You know, like the bottomless pit or the abyssos in Revelation 9:11. So now back to 2 Peter chapter 2 right here, where Peter is talking about the fallen angels who rebelled in Genesis chapter 6, leaving their own abode to come down here and to mate with the daughters of men. According to Peter right here, these fallen angels who rebelled in Genesis 6 are now in Tartarus, which is the abyss. So now what's interesting is that we can look at the book of Enoch, which I know is not canon, but still it is historical and there's good information in there to take out and glean from. So in the book of Enoch, we see an angel named...
Y'all can go watch it. It's Matt. M-A-T-T on there. But I said Abaddon? What y'all think? See why it's important for us to understand about the mythological gods? Think about how many church folks ain't even gonna know what he talking about. Not even just church folks, but people, period. You don't think the research, see, Enoch ties into mythology. Mythology ties into the names and the symbols. People watch that probably wouldn't even think about that big old trophy. But everything, like, we wouldn't even know what he was talking about if we hadn't did these studies on mythology and stuff. We wouldn't even know. The deception of it all, baby. So y'all go watch Matt's video if you got time. And if you got time, watch the first episode. Ain't that crazy? And people told us we shouldn't be reading mythology. We shouldn't understand it. But we learned when Daniel had to go and be in Babylon that the reason that old boy picked them is because they knew everything about everything and not just about the scripture. It's the one on, I don't know. It's Stargate, the show. It just says Stargate. It's the show, not the movie. It's on Prime. I don't know that they have other ones. Yeah, I don't know. It was just the show that's on there. It says Stargate, the TV series, so I don't know. I didn't know that it was others. But the first episode in the anime Black Clover, the Golden Dawn leader was in collaboration with the very people that was sworn to tear down their nation. Oh. You said, what about Abaddon? Abaddon, father of the tribe of Dan. Interesting. Stargate came out with 2 more series. Okay, see, I didn't even know, Auntie. So it's SG1 is what it is? Okay. I don't know, y'all. I told y'all, I feel like I remember watching that back when it was on, not faithfully, but I know I seen it before. Because ain't that the MacGyver man or no? Is that the MacGyver man in that movie? Or am I tripping? Ain't that MacGyver? Or am I tripping? Is that the MacGyver man? That's not him? He looked like the MacGyver man to me. Come to find out they weren't even. It is MacGyver. Right, because she said I come from MacGyver. I said, oh, that's a pun, because that's MacGyver. Okay, so that's what I thought. I said, that's MacGyver. But she said something in the first movie. She was like, I know how to MacGyver, blah, 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 blah. And I said, oh, that's cute, because that's MacGyver. That's MacGyver. That's what I thought. That's why I was like, that's MacGyver when it first came on, when he was up there on the thing. And then when the lady comes in and she's Dr. Sam, okay. Now, what's crazy about that, I ain't going to tell you all of it, but what's crazy about that is Dr. Sam, who's an astrophysicist person, scientist, goes through the Stargate. You mean like Samael jumped through the portal, come over here? And he can be, now, I'm just going to say this one part. Y'all remember when we read in he came to set the captives free, that it said that Lucifer on the black mass to try to act like he was omnipresent, he would be in certain places for just like no more than a minute or 2 minutes, but he had it timed out to where it looked like he was at all of the sacrifices at the same time, because he would astral project here, astral project there, to cities all over the town. Did y'all read the book? Not all, I mean, not just all over town, all over the world. He would have it so that it's in different time zones, and the way that he does it, it makes it look like he was in all the places at one time, but they be so many minutes off because he's just there for the sacrifice and then he leaves. And then he goes to the next one, right? Well, think about it. Samael, right? Samael is an angel, fallen angel, who, right, can move around, shapeshift, be here, be there, be he, because Satan can be in California in this moment and be in China the next moment, and in a full body. Y'all realize that, right? Well, in this first episode, it makes sense because the lady doctor, now mind you, I haven't watched it all, but I just thought that was weird that they called her Sam, right? And she's going through this portal as an astrophysicist and a person that understands the heavens. Like Hellboy coming through the portal. Wasn't his name Sam? Samael? And he came through the portal from the other side when Hitler was trying to open up the black hole. Remember? Y'all don't think it's crazy that Sam is always coming through a portal, interdimensional being? You see what I'm saying? I thought that was weird that they named her that. And she's the one that cracked the code, one of the codes, so they could get through the port, like get through the wormhole, get to the wormhole. Interesting to me. I wonder why they always have them named Sam, but anyway, it is. I'm gonna go back and watch it again because I fell asleep because I have no energy right now. So I just want to come on here and share that a little bit with y'all. I don't know if I'm gonna be on tomorrow or not. I cannot promise exact that part. Right. So I will see y'all. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow. We shall see. I'm not saying I won't. I'm not saying I will. I will. I'm saying. And you said she's always catching hell in the series. Interesting. Interesting. Because you know they try to make it like Lucifer was the good son. And, you know, he always just had problems. Like everybody that was in leadership was always messing with him. So, interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, you said just to mention the Iron Sky movie you had. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you see how much of that is. You're welcome. You're welcome. I love y'all. I love y'all too. But you see how much of that is crazy, and the iPads wasn't even really popular, and they was using the iPad to help end the world. And you seen they was talking about the New World Order. Did y'all see all that on there? It's real interesting. So I will see y'all later. I'm gonna go get in my bed. Probably make me a little snack and go get in the bed. That's what I'm doing. So I'll see y'all later. Good night, everybody.